Hey, quick little review or appreciation of Kiki's Delivery Service, 1989 anime film by, uh, oh man, who, see, I want to say Haruki Murakami, but that's the author, by Murakami? No, Murakami is the author. Let's just talk about the movie because, fuck it, no one else is going to actually listen to me talking about this anyways. So yes, Kiki is a 13-year-old witch who, at the age of 13, witches leave their homes, their family, their her mother, who is a witch, and has to go out on her own to another city to live on her own for a year, as a part of her training. And so she and her little black cat Gigi, he hop on a broom. She kind of wobbly gets off and goes off, and she meets kind of a mean girl witch who says, "Oh well, I know everything," and kind of like me, and she's just such a snob, and she's like, "Oh whatever," and they it starts to rain, so they bed down on a train, which then starts up and takes them off to a city by the sea, where at first things kind of go off to a shaky start. It's a big city. People aren't particularly that friendly, and it's like, where is she going to stay? And people, they're all like, well, you're a little girl. Where are your parents? And all this stuff. But she meets a baker who, actually, the baker is like, oh shoot, this lady left the pacifier of her child, and she's way over there. And it's like, well, Kiki's like, oh okay, here, I'll take it. And she flies off over, and delivers it back. And the baker's like, oh well, hey, you that was very useful, that was very kind of you. You can stay with me. I've got this room above the thing, and you can do a delivery service maybe if you'd like, because you just did your first delivery, so you can do other deliveries. And yeah, actually, Kiki comes up with the idea of the delivery service. And so she goes along. She's met a young boy who's like, wow, you're a witch, you can fly, that's amazing. And Kiki's like, just like, oh, you're being very forward, because like, it's like, you need to be introduced. It's like, and she's like, wow, you kind of talk like my grandma. It's like, ugh. But of course, they become, eventually, over the course of the movie, they become friends. Kiki um, does feel kind of like outside of things. She just has her black dress, and she feels like all the other girls have pretty things to wear, but she sort of gets discouraged. She delivers. She does deliveries. She has one delivery is a cage with a toy cat in it that looks exactly like Gigi, but the toy cat falls out in the middle of the forest, and Gigi ends up having to impersonate a stuffed cat, and becomes kind of the love object, affection object of Jeff, the old dog, which is just beautifully animated. So, I mean, there's so much beautiful animation and characterization in the movie. Um, and while Gigi is impersonating Cat, she goes back to the forest and meets Ursula, an artist, who's like, sketching crows, and they kind of makes friends there, and she, and stuff like that. And she also makes friends with an older woman who's like, oh, I was trying to make this pie, but I can't get this electric stove. And it's like, well, why not use the wood stove? And so they kind of do this whole thing, and she's like, Kiki is just this kind of really genuine, kind of open-hearted person who's like, well, I'll help you. And so she gets the wood, and she does that, and she does other various chores for the older woman and the thing. And then they make the pie, and she takes it through a big rainstorm to kind of a party of her granddaughter, who's rather spoiled, and well dressed and everything that Kiki in one way kind of wishes she was, but she's spoiled, and it's like, it's just another stupid pie grandma gave me. So she's and but Kiki gets sick in all this rain, and starts kind of into kind of a bit of a depression of like, oh, I don't have nice things. And maybe kind of loses sight of things, and snaps at her cat companion. And then when she wakes up, she finds that she can't understand Gigi anymore. Gigi could actually talk to her, and she can't understand her, and she can't fly anymore. It's like I've lost my powers. I've lost becoming a witch. That's the thing I was here for. Is a year of kind of being a witch on my own, and I've lost my powers. Um, and she tries and tries, and it's doing all this stuff to like really think about it. And it's then that Ursula, her artist friend from the woods, comes and says, "Oh, why don't you come with me come with me to the back to my place in the woods?" And she does, and she shows her this a beautiful painting she's making of this beautiful girl on top of like a winged horse with like ravens flying through the air beside her. It's very Marc Chagall, and I've actually grabbed the picture and put it on the wallpaper of my phone because it's so striking and beautiful. Uh, and she's and Ursula says, "Hey, I had periods in my life where I couldn't draw for periods, where I had to just sort of relax and open myself up and just sort of be my, kind of just be." And Kiki's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll think about it." And she comes back to the city, and she's like, oh, she gets a delivery order from the old woman. She goes there, and the old woman's like, "Hey, here's a delivery for Kiki." She says, "For me?" "Yeah." And she opens it, and it's a cake. It's a cake for her. And she's like really touched by this. And the old woman's like, "Well, I did it because you were so kind to me, and I'd like to know when your birthday is so I can make you another cake." And it's really lovely. And it's at that point that their maidservant turns on the TV and is delighted to see that horrible catastrophe is happening. A dirigible that she had actually been taken to by her that young boy who is kind of interested in her. They had taken her to the down to the seashore to see it. It was getting launched today or whatever, but there was a terrible storm, kind of terrible whipping up wind of storm, and there was like it got ripped up from its moorings, and everyone's just trying to hold it back down, and this is just huge mound of people, and the maidservant's going, "Oh, is this just terrible? It's awesome to watch this kind of havoc and mayhem." Um, and of course, out of that comes her friend who gets dragged up into the air, and it's like, oh, if only there was a witch who could fly a broom. And there is just this amazing scene where she gets a broom and she sits on it. And I don't know what it is about that animation, but they make it into the most exciting, thrilling, powerful little thing of her just sitting there squatting over this sweeping broom. And it's like, is it going to fly? And just that rippling of power. And it's just amazing. Um, so yeah, yeah. So Miyake, oh man, I wish I had the name properly and I didn't sound like such a jackass, but it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous film. There's the scenes of them flying with Canadian geese. They say wild geese, but it's Canadian geese. Trust me, I'm a Canadian, I know. And which is just like gorgeous. And then the wind hitting them, and them just all kind of careening up, and Rikiki flying off and dropping that package that has the toy cat in it. But it's just like these beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous scenes of stuff. But it's not only just beautiful animation; it's just beautiful, light storytelling of kind of like it's like an idealized kind of Europeanish kind of landscape with these anime characters. Um, but it's just rippling with kind of a vivid life, and the story is just it embodies kind of the story and of of this heroine who is just like has got to kind of find a way to keep to keep her innocence. The hero has to keep their innocence while they're gaining experience, and it's just gorgeously done. Yeah, so that is Kiki's Delivery Service. Um, just such a treat to watch. Such a treat. All right.